The officials are ready. The fighters are in the ring, and they are ready. So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
Welcome to the DJ Scottos What, Why Now podcast, where I'll be inviting special guests onto my show to ask them questions about their life and success stories. For this week's episode, I wanted to invite another special guest to find out why, from the age of 6, he wanted to be a rapper, how he went from hip-hop to a multi-award winning drum and bass MC, breaking Eminem's Guinness Book records for the most words in a track, what's it like being part of the SASASAS, and obviously the impact this has had in the loss of Skibadee and Stormin, MCing on the Bakerloo line, which has since had over 7 million views, plus much more, and also to find out what his plans are for the future. I'm really excited to introduce our very special guest today. Let's make some virtual noise for Harry Shotta.
Hey, what's happening, man?
I'm good, thank you. Firstly, thank you so much for joining my new podcast. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. It's a nice start to the week. You know, everyone's energized, ready to go again. I've got a lot of creative stuff going on this week. It's a busy one, you know what I mean, on the road on the weekend and everything. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. All fired up.
So before I ask you lots of questions, actually, what is a typical Monday for Harry Shotta? Is it recovering the voice, or what do you normally do on a Monday morning?
Yeah, sometimes if it's a really busy weekend, I mean, I've lost my voice, I think, twice during being an MC. So that's not too bad considering some of the crazy weekends we have and all that, man. But yeah, sometimes it's a bit of like just chilling, resting the voice, get in the gym. I was in the gym this morning, doing legs, bro. I don't even like doing leg day. But, you know, I mean, it's a Monday, get it out of the way so I can do the stuff I enjoy the rest of the week. And then, normally we on the bars, man. Do you know what I'm saying? On the bars, writing lyrics, trying to come up with some new material. Monday is normally a bit more of a chilled day for me after the weekend. Then it's sort of full steam ahead for the rest of the week. Like, you know, I'm usually in the studio every Wednesday and different creative sessions, different artists and meetings and things like that, man, before the weekend's back again and you're on the road. So plus family life as well. You know what I mean? I like to get up every morning, take the little one to school and all that. Do you know what I mean? And so as much as I can do that is what I like to do. You know what I mean?
And then you got this guy ask you to do a podcast on a Monday.
You're all good, brother.
So did you have a big busy weekend then? Did you have a lot of parties?
You know what? This particular weekend just gone was my first weekend off for a long time.
Wow.
So I enjoyed it, man. It's been a minute because next weekend is like, you know, there's 2 gigs, and then at the end of the month it's a crazy 4 shows all over the place. So it was nice to have this little time, you know what I mean, little weekend off. I think it's my first weekend off for about 4 months, so it was good, man. Definitely, yeah.
So I bet the wife and the kids must have loved you being around over the weekends. No, that's great. So talking about kids then, and obviously, I'm not sure if you've watched my other podcast, but the whole idea from this is to kind of really find out how it all started. And we mentioned about being 6. So yeah, where were you originally from, and where were you brought up?
Yeah, I was born in Chapel St Mary, which is in Essex.
Yeah.
Near Grays. I was born there, and then I kind of moved to Aylesbury. My mum and dad split up when I was about 6. Moved to a place called Aylesbury, which is kind of near Oxford, High Wycombe, that sort of area. And then I moved back to Kent when I was 11, and I've been in Kent ever since then, man.
Right. Actually, by the way, I'm in Sidcup, so I'm not too far.
Yeah, down the road. Yeah.
Good place to be, by the way. So what were you like as a child?
Yeah, I was let's start from probably 6. I had pretty much a normal childhood until I was 6, and then when my mum and dad split up and I was moved up to Aylesbury with my dad, I had a bit of a crazy childhood from that point, man. I was kind of really, really, really missing my mum, to be honest, man. You know, even though I had regular access and she'd see me every weekend, you know, my dad married a woman who I wasn't too keen on, which did create a lot of problems, a lot of issues. Going to the new school, I remember I was not trying to go to the school. I was running out of the school. My dad having to carry me back in. My sisters had a terrible relationship with the woman as well. They're older than me. So it was a pretty crazy period of my life. And which is why in the end, it was just getting too mad for me living down there. And even I said, like, look, I need to go and live with my mum now. So when I moved to my mum's when I was 11, then I had a wicked childhood, man. Do you know what I mean? I'd made so many good friends I'm still good friends with today. And I just had the best time. Do you know what I mean? And my stepdad took me on as like his own son. He's a great guy. Do you know what I mean? And like my relationship with my dad improved from there as well. So you know, it was a crazy time. My dad ended up splitting up from that woman as well.
Yeah.
Married a really nice lady. So I think she was like a bit of a root of evil. I don't know about evil, but definitely a mad kind of influence on the whole family thing. But music was always there, always through that for me. Like, that was almost therapy, man. If I was going through some stuff in the family situation, I'd go up to my room, write lyrics, rap along to like hip hop tunes. And that was always like a safe space to go and sort of express myself and sort of get my frustrations out, man.
So being 6 then, because my son's 8 and he's been kind of getting into like the sort of rapping and sort of like he loves listening to songs that I'm not a big lover of. So why at age of 6 suddenly that sort of a love for hip hop started?
Yeah, I'll explain it to you, man. My sisters, they're older than me. They basically used to listen to like soul and R&B and that kind of music. And I suddenly heard, I was going past their room and I heard like someone rapping. And I was like, what is that? That is mad. And I ran in the room and I was like, oh, get out. Like, you know what I mean? The little brother, sister thing and all that. And I was like, all right, I'm going to go in there when they're out and I'm going to find that tape. And I'm going to find that bit where that man was doing whatever he was doing. I don't know what it was because it weren't singing. And it was just like, I was like, I've got to go in there. So when she went out, I went in there, flicking through the tapes. I was bare soul music and all that. And then suddenly heard an MC, someone rapping. Do you know what I mean? I was like, it just blew me away. I just played it over and over and over. Wow. And then I started sort of like seeking out like hip hop records and everything else. I was like rapping in the playground. First, I was just doing other people's lyrics. That was how I learned to rap and spit and everything else. You know what I mean? And it just grew and grew and grew to like an addiction. Whereas like at one point I was like into Star Wars and He-Man and all that.
Love that. So was I.
Yeah, man, come on, bro. Like, and then I ended up selling all of that just to get more records. I was just addicted to buying records. And just to go a little bit deeper, the weirdest thing was when my nan lived, it was like I think that's actually in Grays in Essex. There's a shop called Brickhouse Records at the end of the road. And they sold house music and a lot of like soul and funk and rare groove and reggae and stuff, but they also sold hip hop. So every time I visit my nan, she'd give me a £5. I'd go up there and try and get the latest hip hop tunes. So it was just weird how that shop was there as well. You know what I mean? Because otherwise you'd have to go up to London and that. And I was obviously not of an age then. I was probably about 8 at the time, 8, 9, 10. So I wasn't of an age to go up to London on the train and go to all those classic shops like your black markets and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? So that was another source for me to get into the music and get more and more music from that particular spot, man.
So there's one thing as I do with all these podcasts, I do a lot of research. You missed one bit out about heavy metal. About you mentioned something about having a bit of a like for that. Where did that come from? Was that from your sister as well?
Do not know where that came from. I think that was just, I mean, at the time, I don't know, because even now, I'm not that keen on that genre. I like Nirvana.
Yeah.
I like the
classics.
I like the odd Red Hot Chili Peppers. And I'm like someone probably who doesn't listen to drum and bass like a head or hip hop as a head. They like the odd tune. I'm a bit like that with the rock genre. But when I was a kid, I just thought it was exciting, that fast. I remember the group I liked was called Iron Maiden, man. Iron Maiden, you know what I mean? Like with their mad covers and all that. To me, it was just a bit exciting, a bit crazy, fast. And I've always liked that kind of speed in music as well, which is kind of when Jungle come out. If we're fast forwarding a little bit too much, but when that came out, that's why I was like, wow, this is amazing, man. There was certain other hip hop man that was like, nah, that's the devil's music. And I was like, nah, this is wicked. I love it. I absolutely love it. So I've always liked that.
Did you have the long hair then?
I was too young for that, man. I was too young for that.
No, do you know what? I've got to say, I'm like you, like the odd classics and stuff. I've been to the odd party when I've been around people with all the long hair and that music comes on and hair's going round. It's crazy. And everyone's their own kind of thing. You mentioned about your childhood. So what was your favourite memory
of growing up?
Yeah.
Well, to be honest, man, there was like when I was growing up, when I was living in Aylesbury, let's say, I did have like a good like friendship group. We used to just do the normal things, like go to like parks, chill out. And we'd always talk about music as well. Do you know what I'm saying? Music was always quite a focal point for me, you know, with my friends and things like that. So just like getting those early albums. I remember when NWA album come out, man, and like everyone wanted that album. I managed to get hold of it, and I was doing the tapes for everybody, like doing the dubs, so everyone had their own copy and that. Do you know what I mean? And it was always that focal thing with my peer group around me at the time. They just loved music, and it was just like hip hop was so exciting at the time. It was so new. I mean, it was not like now. It's like, you know, everyone raps. Like literally, you could turn on that TV advert rapping, top 40s full of even UK MCs like making big moves, making big music. But back then, it was more like underground. Yeah. So it was quite a special culture to be around. And it was like, oh, if you could get that NWA tape, or you could get like the or a Kango or something like that. It was a big thing back in the day, man. So yeah, good memories from a child, especially with my friendship group, man. Yeah.
So it sounded like you was kind of like a start of an entrepreneur back then with the tapes and kind of like being that kind of guy to go to obviously talk about your parents. What were they like as in regards to like the music? Because obviously I loved jungle back then, and my mum used to go mad when I used to have records on. How
Yeah.
can you listen to 31 seconds at bloody 7 o'clock in the morning? So what were they like for like
Yeah.
listening to music like them?
Listen, man, it was like two totally different sides of the spectrum. My dad, he'd be like, because I've been playing all the tapes of Skibba, Shabba, Det, Fearless, and all that, and he'd be like, oh, it sounds like like jockeys and that, like when they're doing the races. And I'm coming aside, he couldn't get into it. He was like, it just sounds like people doing the race. I was like, nah, this is sick. You got to listen to it. He did not get the music at all. Whereas my mum, she loved jungle, man. She absolutely loved it. I used to have to do her tapes and stuff. It's like, oh, can you do me like tape for my car of some of that jungle music? So it was like two totally different reactions to the music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and my mum was always really sort of supportive of me rapping and writing down words and stuff. And she actually took me to my first hip hop show when I was like, about 9 or something, man. Do you know what I mean? So like, she was always very sort of like, I think she saw something in me with the music and how much I loved it. And it was like, it kept, it's like, I say to kids now, like sometimes I do workshops with the youngers and it's like music can set you on a really positive course.
Definitely.
And kind of keep you away from sort of other outside influences that are going on the street sometimes. So I think she saw that and was kind of like, was very supportive of it.
Yeah. So age 9 then, just out of interest, just on that last point then, where did you go to? What show was it? Like to go to somewhere at age of 9 to see that?
Yeah, it was actually Hammersmith Odeon, Run DMC, Beastie Boys and LL Cool J, man. So that's
what
really
I want to go to.
Foundation, mate. Incredible. The way LL held that stage.
That's wicked. That's brilliant.
Real, and it was just amazing to see all those artists, man. And they was all quite new then. You know what I mean? Run DMC was blowing up. They was the biggest, but LL and the Beastie Boys were quite new. I don't think Beastie Boys even have their first album out. They had one single or something. So to see them in that raw state, it was like I was just captivated as well, watching the way they controlled the crowd, everything else, the stage techniques and everything else. And yeah, man, it was a big experience. To see that so young, very inspirational.
So when did you know you were good at MCing?
I just sort of realised that I had a bit of a skill set with it. When every kid said, oh, bust me a rap, do me a rap, please, man. Come, please, show me that one about Freddie Krueger. I used to nick off Will Smith and all that. He was Fresh Prince at the time. I mean, or show me that fast one-off thingy, you know what I mean? And I was like, okay, like, so I started charging like 20p to like spit the rap. So you talk about the entrepreneur thing, like, I was like in the playground saying, I'll do it for 20p, do you know what I mean? And like, by the end of the week, I must have had about £6-7, which back then was nice, you know what I mean? For like a kid of that age, you know what I mean? On top of pocket money and whatnot. So, yeah, that's when I kind of knew, oh, maybe I've got a skill set for it and an aptitude for it. You know what I mean? When people actually kept on and on and on about hearing these raps, you know what I mean? Because if it wasn't any good, I guess they wouldn't want to hear it. You know what I mean?
So you mentioned some of the names where you went to that show. Who was the I guess the MCs or rappers that were most influenced that kind of really got you into it?
Yeah,
in particular.
I mean, those ones were exposed to me. Those sort of early ones like Run DMC, LL Cool J. But I think where I was coming up in the 90s, I think it was really people like the people that really shaped me as a lyricist and a rapper, I would probably say was like Wu-Tang, Biggie, Nas, Black Moon, that sort of era of hip hop, Treachery, Naughty by Nature, that kind of 90s rap was the stuff that I was really like glued to and tuned into, and it was really inspiring me to improve my skills and get better at what I was doing. So that kind of boom bap New York stuff, obviously when Snoop come out with Dre, that was like, wow, this is incredible. Do you know what I mean? So the West Coast stuff. And then I've always kept my ears open to the UK side of things as well. You know, from when I heard London Posse and Demon Boys and they were spitting in their own accents rather than American accents, I was like, wow, this is fresh, man. This is like new, because British rappers I heard before that were kind of mimicking the American accent, which was obviously everyone's learning, isn't it? So I'm not judging. But when I heard London Posse and Demon Boys and it was just UK accents, UK slang, I was like, right, we can do that as well. Because I was rapping the American accent. I was kind of copycatting what the Americans did. When I heard them, I'm like, no, I need to rap in my own accent. I need to tell my own story. So they were inspirational. And then definitely Skibba and Shabba in terms of the MCs that I heard in jungle drum and bass that made me want to do that. It was them too, definitely.
So I did a podcast with Unknown MC, Kamachi Sly. Obviously, talked. Was that?
Big him up, man.
Yeah. So
Hijack's legendary.
Yeah. So basically, I kind of like put you two guys as similar in regards to like your kind of background in music. Obviously, I know you wasn't part of a hip hop group as such, or maybe you might be. I didn't find that in the research, but it was so interesting how that evolved and being part of Ice-T and stuff like that. And you've got some similarities, but how you've kind of sort of evolved into different genres. but
Yeah,
using what you've learned.
no, you're right, man. Because I remember Hijack was another big group back then. In that sort of era of London Posse, Demon Boys. There's another group called Hard Noise, which are very influential as well. But yeah, if you think about Comanche Sly, what he was doing was like just different. And Hijack, what they done with their stage show and stuff was just like theatrical and brought a whole new thing to the game, which is obviously why people like Ice-T picked up on it when he heard them being played on a UK show and stuff. And obviously, then he went on to be Unknown MC, which was the garage thing. So obviously, yeah it's similar. Well, we've both gone from the hip hop. I think he's obviously a little bit earlier than me in the game because I was quite young when their album came out. But I watched what they was doing and I watched what he did with that, and I was like, boom, man, you can definitely kind of go from different genres as long as you've got the skill sets and the disciplines to learn things about the different genres. Because when I come into drum and bass, there was loads of things I had to learn. You know, like for instance, like, you know, working with certain DJs, letting the tunes breathe a bit. You know what I'm saying? Like in hip hop, it's more you're doing a PA and it's verse, chorus, and it's a whole new structure to this drum and bass thing. And, you know, not over shouting and losing your voice and all these. There's so many techniques I had to learn to come into the drum and bass scene and be successful with it. But yeah, there's definite sort of parallels in terms of Comanche, Shotta, 100%, man.
Yeah. And with regards to the hip hop, what would you say your highlights were? Of being, was there anything that you could mention that you're quite proud of? Because obviously people know you mainly from drum and bass and how you've done amazingly well, which we'll come on to in a bit. But is there anything that you're really proud of? Any highlights you want to mention?
In the hip hop side of things, yeah. Do you know what it is with me? Like I just do hip hop because drum and bass was really the thing that pays the bills, to be honest, man. Do you know what I mean? That's my live circuit. That's where, you know, most of my fans, they want to hear me on that genre, whether it's music releases and everything else. Really do hip hop for fun now. It's really just fun and the love of it, like the culture and the music. I'm the biggest hip hop fan out here. That's what I mainly listen to if I'm out and about and in the gym or whatever. Do you know what I mean? So the things for me now that make me buzz with the hip hop thing and make me go like, wow, is when, like, you know, I've been hollered at by the likes of even LL Cool J's retweeted my stuff, and you know, Havoc from Mobb Deep's giving me props, and Graf, who's a massive, like, wicked rapper from the States. And, you know, like there's I've had these sort of accolades from people I respect in hip hop, like almost like the gods of the scene. So in terms of the hip hop, that's basically what that's some big highlights. But also the UK guys, like I said, like London Posse was so influential. Then when Rodney P started saying, oh, this guy's wicked, he's one of the wickedest spitters out, I was like, right, this is one of the people that, you know what I mean? This is one of the people that made me want to spit in a UK accent. He's now championing me on his radio show with skits. And it was like, so I start in hip hop, it's those sort of things. For me, it's like the accolades, it's the props and the respect. Those are big highlights for me. When people I just look up to say, nah, he's good, or they retweet something, or like, do you know what I mean? Or show love online. That things like that are amazing to me, man.
So what advice would you give to somebody, like, obviously we're going to get more into the drum bass bit and jungle in a minute. But what advice would you give to somebody, know what you know now? What advice would you give to somebody? You mentioned you do some workshops and stuff with kids, and give an example, my 8-year-old now wants to be an MC. What advice would you give starting out now?
Yeah, I think there's a few different bits of advice, different little jewels I'd give, but definitely in terms of giving you an answer here, it would be when you're writing lyrics or when you're stepping up and you want to step into the game, analyze what else is going on, see what makes this guy successful, see what makes this person successful. And what you'll find is the ones that are really successful and the ones that really break through and create a massive impact and like really smash it are the people who are original, that have brought something new to the game as opposed to copying what the person before did. It's fine to be influenced. Obviously, we all get influenced, but it's really about crafting something that is so new and so innovative that, you know, you are the person that's leading that charge. You're the one that's going through with it. It's self-belief as well. You have to have that self-belief. And I'd also say, as well as the sort of the creative side of things, it is a business as well, and it's how you deal with people. So maybe not for an 8-year-old, they're just learning and having fun, that kind of thing. But like when you're getting to the stage of, say, you know, you really want to come in the industry, then it's how you behave, man. You know what I mean? It's like no one wants to be around like the best MC in the world, but he's an absolute arsehole to be around backstage, and it's demanding stuff and, you know, being a diva, and no one wants that. They'll roll while they need you, but as soon as you're not hot anymore, they'll drop you. So it's important to be nice to people, want to build relationships. It's important no matter what's going on, no matter if people are telling you the best thing since sliced bread and you're killing it and you're getting views and streams and everyone's going mad and the crowd's screaming as soon as you come on, to come off that stage and realize you're still the person you were born as, the person who was born into this world. You know what I mean? It's important to keep your ego in check, because it can get to all of us, man. Do you know what I mean? You can get gas sometimes, and you need real people around you to say, bro, come on, man. You know what I mean? It's good to keep your original people around you as well, and not yes men and things like that. So to be successful in this game, it isn't just the music, it's also what you do outside of it and how you kind of move within the business and with promoters and journalists and other DJs and MCs as well. Do you know what I'm saying? So there's loads of elements what becomes being a successful artist in the music business, man.
That's good advice. So thank you. I appreciate that. And actually, talking about MCs and DJs, did you feel like your stars were aligned? Because when growing up, you seem to have been friends or went to school with people that kind of like that obviously were either doing it now or before you. Did you feel like your stars were aligned a little bit because of the people that you knew, and they kind of supported you in helping you with your journey, I guess, into the scene?
Yeah, no, definitely, man. I mean, I've been very fortunate to meet and work with people that either inspired me or people that were kind of above me at the time and gave me an opportunity to shine. You know, let's just talk about Funster, for instance. Funster, I met at a hip hop show in Chats Palace, and he was in a group called Eclipse at the time. And I linked with him, and we did some hip hop stuff. We put a record out, and then I kind of went on more to work with his cousin on the production side of things. But years later, I'm in a rave, in a drum and bass rave, and I didn't even realize it was him MCing. Because, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't even realize it was the same MC Fun. Like, when we crossed paths again, he's like, yo, you need to come on this drum and bass thing. And I'm like, well, drum and bass is more my fun music. I go out raving to it every weekend. I'm in like dance, sometimes Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Like, and then I do my music in the week. And you know what I mean? I wasn't really thinking about it as a career because it was just what I enjoyed going out to.
Yeah.
He was like, nah, you need to get on it. And I was like, maybe. And then like 1 year at Carnival, obviously, Skibba didn't make it for whatever reason. He said, oh, you can come on with me then. I was like, oh, bro, what? Actually do the thing? I was like, yeah, he goes, jump on, man. And I spat some double time lyrics that I'd actually written for a tune with Skibadee. And the place went crazy. And I was like, wow, this is mad. Like, maybe this is something for me in this. Do you know what I'm saying? I had to sort of see it myself. And then like Fun, literally, like, he would like every weekend, he'd be like, right, I'm playing here. Do you want to come? I'm like, yeah, cool, man. And I just come on and spit for the last 20 minutes. Wow. If the promoter allowed it. And that's how I kind of built my name, going out every week with him. So
but being thrown into the carnival sort of thing, had you performed in front of people like that sort of side?
Yeah, I'd done hip hop things, and I'd done some big festivals and stuff over in Paris, and also I've done quite big shows, but Carnival was somewhere I always used to go as well. And I used to go to that drum and bass stage and just be in the crowd. So to then be on it, it was Trouble on Vinyl, I think it was. Yeah, Trouble on Vinyl. And to be on it then was like, whoa. And to see this sea of people. And it's like you said, it doesn't matter who's bringing you on. If you don't smash it, then you're even gonna get, to be honest, you're even going to get judged a bit harder. It's going to be like, oh, who's this guy? Where's he coming? And then if you don't smash it, you know, you might even get booed, man. That's how raw the crowd can be sometimes. And I think they're a bit more welcoming now, but back then it's a bit more raw, a bit more rowdy. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, like you said, yeah, it's, you know, big up Fun stuff for that platform, but then you do have to deliver as well. Otherwise, it's not going to go anywhere, man. The people always have the last say, man.
Yeah, made a track. It's now in the Guinness Book of Records for the most words in a 6 minute song, suppressing Eminem. When you did that song, did you know it was a record? How did it all come about?
Let me tell you the story, man. Basically, we was at Westfest, which is a wicked festival. Big up One Nation, Slam and Vinyl. And they actually put we did a thing called the Harry Shotta Show. And the reason we did this Harry Shotta Show thing was, you know, I love MCing with DJs and getting there and just bubbling on the set and all that. But I wanted to showcase that my music I was making to the audience. And obviously, you know, if you're working with, I'm just giving you an example, for instance, Mampy Swift, you can't get there and just say, oh, Mampy, can you play my 5 vocal tunes, please, on your set? Because he's got his set, how he wants to do it. It's executed and he's going to do what he's going to do. And then I'm going to compliment what he's doing. So I wanted to showcase for like my own music and for me to kind of also dictate, oh, you know what, Fantasy, because I do it with Fantasy. I really love that XYZ tune. Can you throw that in the mix? And then he'd put it together for me. So it was a show that was kind of tailor made to showcase what I was doing with music and also the sort of tunes I particularly liked to MC to. So anyway, we're doing this Harry Shotta show at Westfest main stage. Fantasy rang me in a week. He's like, I reckon we should get that Rap God tune, Eminem. And we'll play the Eminem part where he's going fast, and then you come in and go even faster, and then I'll cross the Vader over to the instrumental again, and you go even faster. So it's like almost we're creating this live battle on stage, and it'll just be a funny little thing. Yeah, a wicked idea. I was like, yeah, let's do it. So we did it, and it was one of the highlights of the show. The crowd was going mad. It was getting like biggest cheers and everything else. So I said to him, I rang him on Monday. I was like, what we did on that show was wicked, man. But I think we need a song in that vein where I'm doing the double time spitting and everything else. And can you make something that's around that tempo? So he went in the studio with a guy called Dextone, and they made the Animal beat within a couple of days, sent it to me. And I was like, I had a brainwave. I was like, you know what? Extend this to the same length as Rap God by Eminem. And I'm going to write to it. I'm not going to like just go silly with it and try and do like crazy fast stuff that doesn't make sense. I'm still going to make it work as a song, but I'm going to see if I can like beat his record in it with the words I put on the tune. So I wrote it, and then I did the old, like, where you do the highlight and see how many words. I was like, actually, that's more words than Eminem spat in the song. So I was like, this might be an angle in terms of releasing it. So we recorded it. It sounded crazy. I played it to a few industry heads. I played it to Harvey from So Solid. He was like, this is crazy. Played it to a few other guys. Skibadee was going mad about it. So then I went to Jamal Edwards, RIP, man, do you know what I mean? And gave him the vision, because obviously SBTV at the time was like the biggest platform for urban music and for MCs, man. It was the reach he was getting on that channel was incredible. And he said, I've got the perfect director for this video. He hooked me up with a guy called Dr. Lex, who now does all Santan Dave's videos and a lot of the music industry videos. But at the time he was just coming in. We shot the video, put it on SBTV, released the tune. And it got in the first week, it got about 50,000 views, which was nice. It was good, really good. But then the Americans picked up on it somehow, and I know how they did actually. Sorry, man, I know how they did. UKF did an interview with me, and at the time that was getting massive reach as well, because the Americans were looking at dubstep, and actually dubstep more than drum and bass at the time. So it got picked up by the Americans. Next minute, you know, Funkmaster Flex in New York is tweeting about it. Waka Flocka, who's a big American rapper, T-Pain, who's a huge platinum artist, is posting about it. Power 105 are posting about it. And next minute, within 3 or 4 days, it had gone to 1 million views on YouTube. You know, record companies are ringing up, trying to sign it and everything else. It went absolutely insane. And it took a while to get it in the Guinness Book of Records, because obviously they was kind of trying to hold on to the Eminem thing. Right. Because Eminem is a big artist to have in the Guinness Book of Records. Do you know what I mean? In the end, because it was going so crazy and people were talking about it and people were writing to them, and my manager was in regular contact with them, in the end, they gave us the record for the most words in a song. And it still holds up to this day, because we was like on a thing like, oh, maybe we should encourage people to try and beat it. But Guinness was like, nah, because we're just getting just gibberish on records. People are just, they're not rapping, you know what I mean? They just want to throw as many words over a song as possible. So you just keep that. So we've got that till this day, man. But that's how it came about, man. That's how it came about. And it was a moment. It was a moment, man.
That was, like you say.
You're in the Guinness Book of Records. No one can ever take that away. Do you know what I mean?
No, exactly. And for those listening,
to back on 2 tracks, 2 twos, you're whacking off. Superhuman lyrically, murder any rhythm. You can do it in a second. I reckon I get a bread of fuming. You're assuming you could even kick it with me lyrically. A miracle for you to even try with your gimmicky style. So simplistic, stupidity, the soul of mischief. 9-3 till infinity. I graduated from the school of Skibadee, Shabadee, fallacy, Wu-Tang, Hillary. Alien ability, flow, soul, military.
By the way, my kids were listening to yesterday in the car. And as I say, my 8-year-old loves this sort of stuff. Yeah. What they loved about it, they said, I can hear every single word he's saying. Right. Yeah. I'll just say quickly, when you've done 1,771 words, do you remember all of those words like without looking at something?
In terms of the words, no, I used to.
You knew all those words without looking at a bit of paper? Yeah,
I've only PA'd that song out a few times in its entirety. Normally what we do is we'll play a section of it because it's quite long, isn't it? So 6 minutes of us, unless they want to hear that specific, oh, it's the Animal PA, of course we can do it. So I did know it, but I'd have to brush up, man, now, because I've not performed it for a while. So
I'm just saying, that is unbelievable.
Brush up.
It's unbelievable. And now I realise when I watched the video why Fantasy was in the video, because he's obviously taken a bit of credit. So basically he came up with a tune, you came up with an idea, and then obviously it was all put together. Yeah. And I think it's about 7 million now, over 7 million views.
I mean, that video's gone crazy, man. That was like a massive moment for us, you know what I'm saying?
And you talk about, you know, how things can go to your head and you can get a bit carried away with all those legends that you mentioned. That must have been just like a mad feeling when you see these guys in America who you look up to commenting about you, how great you are. Like stuck in football analogy, like Ronaldo saying, God, this guy's an amazing footballer to me, which I'm not, by the way, but do you understand what I'm saying? That must have been amazing.
Of course, man. It honestly was. And that's, you know, the before anything, the reason I got into rapping was to like get respect from those kind of people. You know, when you're young and you're listening to the likes of Nas and Raekwon and Ghostface and these kind of rappers, to get love from people that are in their ilk and in their world, like, is just incredible, man. Like when Havoc from Mobb Deep messaged me, I was like, wow, this guy, like he literally produced probably my favorite hip hop song of all time with Shook Ones Part 2. And to get message from him and like love and respect from someone like that, you're just like, wow, it just spurs you on, man. It just makes you think, wow, you know, if I could, and then it just pushes you to keep getting better and better and better. There's always, you know, there's always room for improvement. I don't care who you are. You can always grow, evolve as an artist and make even better music. You know what I mean?
But I love that. I love that attitude, mate, by the way, because obviously like some people could just like go, you know what, that's it now, I've done what I kind of want to achieve, but that kind of seems to motivate you even more, hasn't it? That's what it sounds like, which is amazing, by the way. So obviously doing some other research, you did a show with DJ Semtex for 52 weeks, right? And I've listened to some of these, which is great. But so for the people that are listening, you basically flipped the weekly news into rap. Again, how did that idea come up? And you did it for 52 weeks straight.
Yeah, it was a conversation I had between me and Semtex. Shout out to Sem, man, visionary guy out here. Do you know what I mean? He was playing a lot of my freestyles I was doing at the time, and at the time I was doing in the freestyles, I was just taking what was going on and just putting those little lyrics in there and throwing funny lines about it and stuff like that. So he rang me and said, "I think we need to take what you're doing a little bit further." He goes, "I've got this idea on my show, my hip hop show, which was one of the biggest hip hop shows on One Extra at the time." He was like, you know, I want you to come on and round up the news every week, whether it's sport, politics, music, whatever's going on, man. Do you know what I mean? I want you to go on there and put a commentary on it, but in rap form. I was like, I can do that. And he's like, yeah. So let's do it, man. So I spoke to the people at One Extra. They all got on board with it. And tell you what was good about that. It put a discipline of writing into me because I had to write something, record it and deliver it to One Extra every week. So in terms of like, sometimes when you're trying to get a feature off someone, you could wait 2 months for that feature. It made me know that if someone's asked me for a feature, it's got to be maximum 2 weeks till it's back. Unless something extraordinary is going on tour in New Zealand or something. I mean, I can't do it, but I want to get that back ASAP. And it got me into that discipline of writing about deadlines as well, because it's almost like you're a journalist and you've got to get this in for the deadline. Otherwise, it's not going to be played on One Extra that week. And people are going to be wondering, like, well, why is there no rap roundup? You know what I mean? I remember, it's a funny story, man. I got actually, weren't funny at the time, but I was coming back from holiday and someone hurt their head on the plane and they had to land the plane. And we had to stay over another night. And I was due to go to the studio that day and record the roundup and everything. So I had to write the roundup when I was like overseas, and then I had to get in another studio because it wasn't available by the time I got back, bang it out and get it up there that night, man. We managed to do it.
Wow.
It's those kind of situations at time, you know what I mean? Because people listen every week. People's like, what's he going to do this week? And how's he going to up the levels? And, you know, I was getting guests in sometime as well, like pretend sports sort of readers and stuff like that, like Macca Fresh, like Skibber on there, Little D, different people do it. Screwfizz are doing sort of guest spots on it as well. So we really elevated it and took it to a mad place. And to do it for 52 weeks, man, what an experience, man. You know what? The reason I stopped doing it was only because I wanted to get back to making tracks, and I was focusing so much of my energy each week into writing that I wasn't really making much actual music. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I was trying to raise this to the highest levels. And I think when I got to that level of it, I was like, right, that's a year.
On the London Underground, Bakerloo line, on a Monday, you're reading the Evening Standard or whatever it is, or the paper. And then you've had this come up with this idea with mcing, which has gone mad. Again, how did that all come about?
That was another totally organic moment, man. I remember, like, literally, I kind of knew one of the guys from Troll Station because he lives in the same area as me. I was in the gym and he come up to me, he took my headphones. I was like, yeah, we say, man, all good. He goes, I've got this idea. I want us to do the first illegal drum and bass rave ever on the London Underground. And I was like, that sounds sick. And he goes, yeah, you want to do it? And I was like, yeah, I'll do it, man. But like, what's the deal? What are the police going to do? And he's like, well, we could spend the night in the cells, but that's about it. You know, it's not going to be anything too serious. He goes, but that was the worst it'll be. I said, I could take that on the chin. Do you know what I mean? I could do that for the fun of doing it. Do you know what I mean? And I remember on the day of it, we organised it for a week later. I remember the day of it, I was sitting in my house and they was late, man. They was late to pick me up. And I'm sitting there thinking, oh, do I really want to do this? This might be like, do I really want to spend the night in the cells? And what it was, Arsenal were playing Crystal Palace of all people that night, your team. Right? And that was when we lost 3-0. That was when the Arsenal
keep that bit in here.
Wouldn't even keep Bellerin the ball back, bro. That's how bad it was, right? But I'm thinking, let me stay and watch this Crystal Palace Arsenal match. Do you know what I mean? Thank fuck, you know what I mean? That we did. I didn't. I went out and done this because they picked me up in the end. We lost 3-0, innit? So that was in the Wenger out days.
Right. Okay. But, definitely keep that bit in this.
Yeah, keep it in. But so I ended up doing it. Picked me up, went up there, and you know they had the idea of me reading a paper, and then I just come out and start emceeing, and it was just actually being on the train, on the underground, was amazing, because as soon as people got on, because they had it set up super quick. We started off at Elephant and Castle, and they blacked out the windows, they got lights, they set up the PA system, they had drum and bass running within 2 stops.
Wow.
And luckily, the people that got on just embraced it. Like, I think 2 girls got on straight away, they started dancing, and obviously other people got on, everyone's having a good time. It was just like the vibe on. It wasn't like everyone was like, turn that off or anything. Yeah. People were just really like captivated by it and dancing up and down the train. And obviously the guys are filming it. And, you know, we got quite far before the police did come on and shut it down. But they was quite cool about it. They basically said to us, like, yo, guys, you're going to have to shut this down. And, you know, if you don't go home, then we're going to have to have a word with you. But we was like, okay, we're fine, man. We'll shut it down. It's all good. And they even tweeted about it. That was the craziest thing. The police tweeted about it because I think they thought, this is good PR for us. Yeah. They actually put up something saying, we just shut down the first drum and bass rave on the London Underground. No more, please, guys. Like, so that sort of vibe, do you know what I mean? So it all ended up quite well. And then when it went on YouTube and Facebook, it went crazy with the views, man. Everyone was talking about it. I was gutted as well because Channel 4 rang me to do an interview about it as well. And it just never went through in the end, man. It was like, can you do this date? And I was like, yeah. And it goes, we're going with another story now. I think that's how it moves in those bigger media. So
it's unbelievable. So what you're saying then, you didn't actually have people kind of like actors or people prearranged to come on there. Literally, it was just like, let's see how it goes. And then people came on, 2 girls. Normally, whenever you go to anywhere, if you get some girls started dancing, you tend to get those people coming on anyway. But that way, that is amazing. And I think it was about 30 minutes. I think it was. I read 35 minutes.
On the Bakerloo line, yeah, man. And like I said, it was literally me, Jarvo, and another guy who set up the sound and everything. So, yeah, it was just us 3 and no actors and no one else kind of getting involved to hype it up. It was literally just the public's reaction to what happened, man.
That's amazing. So moving on to, we talked about your tunes and stuff. You've been part of producing so many tracks. Like I've seen doing my research. Which one is your favourite and why? This might be trying to pick who your favourite children are, but
it's really hard because I've done so much music. I mean, Animal was one that hit, I would say, the most people, like, and it just created just this worldwide sort of new audience for me. I remember when I went to Australia for the first time, and one guy was there. He goes, "I only know you from Animal. That's why I've come to see you perform tonight. I don't know anything." And this was like, Animal was like 2018 or 20. Might have remember the date, but it was like quite deep into my career in terms of drum and bass. But he didn't know any of that. He didn't know SASAS, Uncontrollables, you know, previous material. It was just Animal. So that one was the one that really set it off for me. So I'd have to say that. And just on a personal level, there's some of the tracks that are more sort of autobiographical that I've done and about things that are going on in my life, like Love Is Blind, and also a track called Good Intentions that are out there. They're kind of the more deeper ones that I like, man, just on a personal level. So I'd give it those 3, man.
So one of the things I did read about is that with regards to labels, I think what I read, you decided to sort of follow the likes of Tech 9, which is kind of like having sort of control and being like having your own independence and stuff. Just out of interest for people listening, why is that? Because sometimes you think labels come at you, you're like, that would be what you aspire to have. But from what you've, from sort of seeing some of the things that I've watched and listened to, your sort of, I guess your view on that's slightly different.
Yeah, it's just everybody is different. Like some people, they need the machine, don't they? They want that sort of thing of like, right, your deadline is this, you're working with this producer, you're going there, we'll put you in this taxi, you go there. They like to sort of just do the artist thing and maybe like go to the parties and just turn up and do their vocals. Whereas me, I'm a bit more hands-on with the business side of things. Like, and I'm also like, I don't really like waiting for people, man. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm just like a bit impatient when it comes to things like that. So if I've got a tune or a freestyle, you know, if you're signed to a label and you want to get this tune out by next week, they're going to be like, well, no, we've got, you know, Kanye West single coming out that day and whoever that day. And we, you know what I mean? You're going to have to wait. You could wait 3 months for something you think should come out now. And and to me, it's only for, it's me and other people as well, but you just give up that control of the sound of your music. You give up that control of when it comes out. You know, you do trade it for money. I mean, I've had record deals over the years. I've been signed a couple of times and, you know, the last time it would have worked out really well apart from, you know, another RIP, man, big up Darren Platt, 360 Records. I signed with them. And that's the same guy who started Channel U and Channel AK. He was like, you know, he had Lethal Bizzle on the label. He signed N-Dubs and Devlin originally. So that was a great situation for me. Unfortunately, he passed away when we was kind of just getting the deal going and everything. So who knows what would have happened there? Because that was more of, even though I was signed to the label, it was more of a partnership. We'd get together and thrash out ideas. And he was very much like, oh, that's what we should do. Do it then. Let's go. Like, do you know what I mean? But working with a major, which I did for a little while as well, It's very different, man. Very different. It's a long process and everything else. And it's just, for me personally, it's just not for me. I just like doing the independent thing.
Yeah.
That whole DIY ethic. It just works for me much better, man. Do you know what I'm saying? And running the label with the guys and everything, and being like, you know, being able to do things when we want to do them and execute it how we want to do it. It just works better for me, man.
Yeah. Do you know how many songs that you've made so far?
I have no idea. That'd be interesting.
I don't actually know. I was trying to research. I was trying to work out, but you've got loads, man. Honestly, like I've lost count. That's
just released ones as well. That's just released ones. You know what I mean? Like there's probably like about 20 tunes I've done with Skibadee that never come out. Do you know what I'm saying? There's probably like old Lethal and Destruction stuff that I started off doing that never. There's loads, man. But most of the good stuff does come out. I will say that. Of a certain level, I won't leave stuff on the hard drive. I don't believe in that. Do you know what I mean? If it's good music, let's get it out. Do you know what I'm saying? But so maybe the stuff that's there needs to stay there. Maybe it's just not everything's for the public. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. And make sure that hard drive is backed up with another hard drive. I can imagine there's some magical stuff on there. Yeah. Right. So we get into the MCing, and I have to. Obviously, I'm a massive old school. I'm 45 years old. Since 18, I've been into jungle drum bass. So I love this. It's my favourite genre. So, and I think it's fair to say, from my experience, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think your success as winning the best breakthrough MC was probably the quickest by any MC, right?
So people say that, yeah.
Yeah, because obviously, like you say, you were kind of learning your trade, kind of like the functions and stuff like that, and people like so. Where some people, for example, again, correct me if I'm wrong, probably done a lot more on the radio. They probably take a lot more time, but you came through
and all that
quick,
you know, building up in the room twos.
Yeah. So what did you do different to the other winners then? The sort of like people that have won that breakthrough.
Okay, I think there's first of all, I was brought in by Funster and Skibadee, massive in the game, Uncontrollables, one of the biggest units in drum and bass at the time. And suddenly I was this new guy coming on, and I think what it was, right? Their cosign was massive, but all the years I'd done in hip hop allowed me to smash it and like show people the skill sets that probably if you just started MCing, you wouldn't, you was totally new and you was on these stages, you wouldn't have those skill sets and performance techniques and stuff like that. So all those years I'd done in hip hop, benefited me when I came to the drum and bass scene.
Yeah.
It allowed me to like kind of go quicker. And, I did get certain people saying at the time, oh, you're only blowing up because you're mates and blah, 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 and everything else. So then I was like, okay, let me do my solo mixtape.
Yeah.
And a solo mixtape, that done stupid amount of downloads, started blowing up the spot, started doing my own bookings as well as the crew bookings. And it was just sort of like, I was on everything so quick. I was on innovation, walking science, your warnings, random concepts. I was on everything and not room two. Like a lot of the guys had to go from your room twos and do the pirate radio thing and all that. I was blessed not to have to do that. Do you know what I'm saying? But don't get it twisted. I had done years before in another genre. So it wasn't like I just picked up the mic and was suddenly doing it. I had done my due diligence in another scene and I was able to bring those skills to drum and bass. But yeah, the platform and my background and development over the years, I think that's what made me go quicker.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it was two things, being blessed with a platform from the guys, but then also what I'd learned before and putting those skills and elements into what I was doing in drum and bass. That's kind of probably why I went crazy with it.
Yeah, and again, going back to a point earlier, this isn't because we're doing this. You're bloody good, right? So you can have Skibadees, you can have all these people say all this sort of stuff, but you've got to go on there and, like you say, there are some tough crowds. So would you say probably not necessarily the first awards, but maybe winning more of the awards proved, not just to yourself, but say to those people that might have gone, mate, of course you did. You got the leg up. Which award was you're most proud of? Because you've won about 10, right? Or maybe more since then.
10, yeah, man. So that's quite a bit, man. Do you know what I mean? But I think, the breakthrough was special, obviously. But I think that year, I don't know, man. I don't know who else was in the running for that. But the one that was like really special for me was winning the best lyrical out of, everybody. Do you know what I'm saying? Because then it's like, I think the year I won it, I think it might have been, myself, X-Man and Skibadee, I think. And it's like, wow, these to be the top, you know what I mean, of these, these guys who are just like the dons of the industry, you know what I mean? That was like mind blowing at the time. Do you know what I'm saying? Absolutely mind blowing to actually like, back in the day in the awards, you used to get best crowd hype, which is more, the host and the crowd hype and them kind of guys. And then the lyrical one was sort of the guys who were a bit more lyrical, spitting the bars and whatnot. So to get that, it was mind blowing. And yet again, it was just the motivation to keep on and keep pushing, man.
Yeah. And do you know those awards, right? Because I obviously every year I'd vote for them and stuff. I think from what I'm hearing from you, those awards are quite special. I was just wondering how the rest of the industry see those awards, and do they mean as much to maybe to you and some other people? To other, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's always nice to be recognised by your peers or recognised by the audience. And you know, there's two different awards at the moment. It's the Drum and Bass Arena Awards, and then you've got the National Drum and Bass Awards. They're two kind of different things. But yeah, any award's good, man. Anyone where people have like taken time to vote and that always means something, because it means that you've resonated with them as an artist. You know what I'm saying? It's not the award that goes on the mantelpiece and all that means anything. It's the recognition from the audience, or if it's an industry voted thing, your peers, man. So yeah, it's always nice, man.
Is there a little mini competition with that sort of stuff? Like with Skibadee, for example, Shabba goes, "Oh, I won it this year," kind of like, you know. Back then, is it, or is it just?
I think it used to be a bit more like that. I don't think it is so much anymore. Do you know what I mean? I think everyone's kind of like, you know, grown to a certain extent, and they're just like, you know, on different things. But I think back in the day, I think there was that competition. There's always going to be that friendly competition with MCing, you know what I mean? And I think DJing as well. Do you know what I'm saying? As long as you just like keep it like without the egos and all the silliness getting involved, it can bring the best out in you when you're trying to compete to be the best. And it's like, it's almost like boxing or something. Do you know what I mean? It's like people will box, and two MCs will go at it on the mic, not necessarily dissing each other, but just going at it back to back, trying to like bring the best out of each other. And then at the end, you're like a boxing match, you'll be like, whoa, and you know, have a hug and have that mutual respect for each other, because you both brought up your energy levels on that set. So competition's there, but it's not an ego thing or a disrespect thing or anything, or a battle thing, I wouldn't say.
I think you see that from when I remember obviously being around with Steve Hyper D, and great, he was my favourite MC then, and we'll talk about Skibadee in a bit, but he was my second sort of favourite of all time. But I always see from the MCs, and especially when there's more mics now, when first it was one, but now there's like 2, 3, 4. I always feel there's a great energy. Like, people must think sometimes it's like, you guys must practice all together all week and suddenly come to Saturday. But it's become, obviously, from somebody that's done a little bit of DJing, being around MCs, it's just that over time comes naturally, and knowing each other and knowing their lyrics and stuff, right?
Oh, yeah, of course, man. And like I said, we're like, me personally, I'm a fan of all the guys as well, whether it's X, Skibba, Shabba, you know, Stormin. There's so many to mention. Ragga Twins, Evil B. There's loads in it. Like, so, but I'm a fan of what they do. So I'll be listening to their stuff in the week. So when it comes to do a stage show with them, I know their bars. Do you know what I mean? So we can back them up. We work well together. Sometimes it's organic. Sometimes I've even linked up and worked on bars with MCs as well. So when we go out, we do those bars together. You know, that's what we do with Uncontrollables, and now we do with SASAS. You know what I mean? So, but sometimes it's organic, and sometimes when it's organic, it's even more fun. It's just on the spot.
100%. So to talk about SASAS, obviously started at Westfest. And by the way, I've listened to that set, the first one, lots of times. And I was lucky enough, actually, Harry, obviously I don't even know, I did an interview with Skibadee actually about 3 years ago during COVID, and which was absolutely amazing, and he made me feel like I was the best. So it was like a 30-minute interview and then an hour set we did together. And by the way, he made me feel like I was like Andy C, because that's what he's like. You know, I'm not saying I was the best mixer, but that's how good he was. Yeah, it's great to interview, but I did ask him the question about how the SASS started, and he started laughing about him and fantasy, and they have got this kind of like this ongoing argument still today, not today, but you know what I mean, where who come up with the idea. But how did you get involved? How was it then? Did the whole thing sort of gel together? Who sort of brought the idea of all of you, or six at the time? Well,
what it was, there's a club called Area. That's where the first set was actually ever done before Westfest. Right. So basically the last ever night of Area, Skibadee and Fantasy was putting on that night, and they wanted to do a special set that night. So they said, why don't we get the 4 S's, which was Shabba, Stormin, Skibba, Shotta, and our Fantasy will DJ, but he'll also bring in a couple of new guys as well. So Mackie G was brought in, do you know what I'm saying? So because I had about 3 bookings, I had 2 bookings and that night, we had to do like 5 till 6 because I just couldn't get there till that time. And we went on and it went mad, 5 till 6. The energy levels were ridiculous. It's like people stuck around to see this set as well. You know, normally quite a few people might have been gone by then or whatever.
Graveyard shift, as everyone calls it. Yeah, sometimes exactly. People start to go. Yeah,
but they stuck around, and it was like, whoa, that's something just special happened there. Because obviously, I've got my relationship with Skibadee for years. Stormin and Shabba had their thing in higher levels, so it wasn't like we were just 4 randoms thrown together. We all had vibes and energy, and I got on really well with Stormin and Shabba as well. Obviously, Skibba's got SAS history with Shabba, so there was like a lot of energy coming together on that set. So when it comes to the Westfest thing, we was like, wow, this is great, man, another booking. But we did not think that it was going to go as crazy as it did. After that Westfest set, that's when it started. We had started, because we thought it'd just be like twice a year we do this or something. You know what I mean? We didn't sit down and say this is a master plan to like get to festivals, and didn't do any of that. It just happened absolutely naturally and organically, and it's been a mad ride ever since, man.
I know, man, and obviously been to lots of festivals and seeing you guys, but I guess we can't not talk about mentioning obviously my hero Skibadee and Stormin. Obviously, I've seen lots of videos since those guys have passed away, and what you've done to keep their memories and what they've done. But obviously, I hope you don't mind me asking, but how hard has it been since then? Because obviously, it's kind of changed a lot from mcing. Is he not in the?
He's doing his solo thing at the moment.
Yeah, so it's kind of gone from.
He left, but he's so busy with his solo stuff that he's had to sort of concentrate on that with our blessing, man. Do you know what I mean? A great friend of ours.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So how hard's it been since losing two big guys? How's it? And what's the plans for the future? I guess with this.
Yeah, well, man. I'll break it down. When Stormin sadly passed, man, he had obviously cancer. Then he beat it, and then he got it again. And then when he passed, man, it was like. Is a gap that could never be filled, because his energy on stage is unparalleled anywhere. Like I always say to people, like the reason I get more hyped and energetic on stage now, because I used to stand next to him and think I can't just be standing here. I've got to be like, I've got to have some energy and movement too. So he brought out my performance skills and energy out of me. So when he sadly passed, it was like, wow, man. And one thing that I remember Stormin always saying was, please don't let people forget me. Right. Which is why we always honour him every performance. We did a special thing for him at Rampage. Every set.
That was unbelievable.
You know what I'm saying? We don't go past any set without talking about Stormin and giving him his moment. So people never forget, but they won't forget anyway. But it's just what we feel we have to do. Do you know what I'm saying? And so that was hugely upsetting on a personal level and everything else. And it was just such a loss to the whole drum and bass community and the grand community which he come from, man. Do you know what I mean? So we had to suck it up, kind of get on with things and keep it moving. And then what happened with Skibs at the end of February last year was just crushing, man. This year, sorry, I'm saying like it's that long ago. It's not even that long ago. It's like it was just unbelievable what had happened, man. Because I'd done his booking that night for him. Do you know what I mean? No one could get hold of him, so I went down to Bristol and done the show. And then the next day we was like, something's not right. Skibber don't miss bookings. Do you know what I'm saying? He does not miss bookings. This man, that's what he does. That's what he lives, breathes, sleeps, music. Do you know what I'm saying? He's not going to miss a booking. Absolute shock. I walked around in like days for 7 days, bro. It was just, I just couldn't fathom it or believe it. It was just like, even now, it's making me well up, bro, because it was such a moment. And it was like, I had to have time. I didn't even want to do like music for a bit. I carried on doing shows, but my usual stuff of releasing music, I was like, I can't do it at the moment. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's been hard, bro. I'm not going to lie, man.
Mate, I can see that. I have
to keep going for the legacy. And like one thing Skibber was always about, if you talk about the future, he'd always say to us, we need to start bringing in some youngers. We need to start pushing the new guys, which is what he was doing all through lockdown on his platform. He was showcasing new DJs. He was ringing me up, telling me about people I'd never heard of, saying we need to put them on a set. We need to bring them on as a support act. We need to do this, which is why we're trying to do this thing now, which is past, present, and future, which is kind of like showing love to the legends who was even before us, like Top Cat, General Levy, people like that. But then having us as sort of the present, but then bringing in these new talented MCs like Wiser, Westman, Inner, Endo, Tiny K, whoever's out there that's killing it. Yeah. We now want to showcase these MCs and make SASAS a celebration of Skibber and Stormin, but also a celebration of the whole MC culture. So it isn't just about two MCs. It's not just about me and Shabba. We're not saying we're bringing in new members, but we want to make it something that showcases all the new, fresh, hot talent. You know what I mean? And that's kind of honouring one of Skibadee's wishes, man. Do you know what I mean?
Right. That was honestly, mate. I've got to say, I only met him once, and being with my hero, and also just having that. I guess, if I'm honest with you, it's kind of like like one of those moments, like a tick box, where something I'd always wanted to do. I'll never be a good enough DJ to have the opportunity, but during COVID, we had the opportunity, and I was part of the Skibber Club, the Breakfast with Skibadee, and some of the stuff he's come out with, mate. Honestly, he kept me sane through COVID. I said this in my interview. But the one thing I would say about my memory, and I only had an hour and a half with him, but I also spoke to him a few times because he sent me some jingles and stuff. He was unbelievable in regards to the hour and a half he was there. People don't realise that he made me feel like I was the best DJ. He made me feel like I was the best interviewer, which you'll probably tell I'm not the best. But my son came, he was 16 years old at the time, and my son went up to him and like took a picture because he loves him as well. and he spent about 20 minutes after the performance, gave me some advice and like talked about what you should do and stuff.
That story is so real, bro, because that's what he did for everybody. That's what he did for me when I first met him, bro. Like when I went to his studio in Neasden, I went in the booth and spat. And at the time, Skibber was like God to me, bro. Do you know what I'm saying? I was raving for this guy, my absolute favorite. And when I come out the booth, the reaction he gave me and the respect and the sort of encouragement he gave me made me believe in myself so much more, man. Do you know what I mean? 100%.
My favorite DJ is Andy C. And like you say, he made me feel my mixing and my claim to fame shot, which you're going to laugh at. I got a rewind after my second song. So whatever happens now, Skibadee asked for a rewind. I was like, that's it, I'm done. Yeah. Good mix as well. But look, I think he's touched everybody. And you get emotional. I got emotional, and you know this guy for years. I haven't, but that little moment affected so many people I've known. Wow, like what's happened? So the guy will live on forever, and he is the god for me. I think he's the best MC of any genre. I think he's the talent, and that guy could. Anyway, so I could talk about it for ages.
Yeah, me too, man. His influence on the grime MCs, for instance. You talk to your Kanos, your Wileys, your Dizzy Rascals. They'll tell you, man, when they was coming up. And these are people who are multi-platinum artists now, you know what I mean? Have done massive things in the industry. They'll tell you that Skibber was one of their biggest influences, even a Skepta, do you know what I'm saying? They will tell you
stuff he does. And the words he'll come up with, like, I said to him, you're going to have a Skibadee dictionary of words.
Yeah.
You could have done it easily.
Always had the new slang as well.
Oh, excellent. Very infectious guy as well. So if you could change one thing about your time as an MC in the industry, what would it be?
That's a difficult question because I've really enjoyed everything. I have. I've soaked it up like a sponge. Every bit of knowledge from the elders like Skibadee, every stage show where things haven't gone right, I thought, well, okay, I've got to rectify that next time. Do you know what I'm saying? Maybe I would have got into drum and bass a little bit sooner rather than held back a little bit. Maybe I would have got inside a few more years in it. Do you know what I mean? I love it so much. Maybe that, but nothing major, I wouldn't say, man. Everything that's come to me has been an absolute blessing, man. And even when it's been something that isn't the most positive experience, I've tried to learn from it and move on from that. Do you know what I mean? And use certain knowledge gained from that to do better in the future. Do you know what I mean?
So obviously, social media, as crazy as it is, how has that impacted you during your career as an MC?
I've always used it as a tool. See, some people, they get too sucked into it, man. They base their whole thing on likes and reach and all this. And I've always just tried to use it to showcase what I do musically rather than use it as a gimmick to get loads of views and stuff and do silly stuff on it and all this stuff that is not really on brand with the whole Shotta thing, which I see some people trying to do, especially during lockdown and those times, which I get, you know what I mean? We haven't got the shows, we haven't got this. So you're trying to keep your name out, you're trying to keep content going. But I think sometimes people are forcing these moments online and just trying to because people believe now that it's all about likes, hits and reach. And, I'm not going to lie, some promoters probably do look at, oh, wow, look how many followers he's got and all that. So it's not to say the business side of things doesn't look at it, but I've always just tried to create organic moments. Do you know what I mean? I always use my Instagram, for instance, if I hear a beat I like, or like the other day I heard a Ludacris tune called Move. And I was like, imagine what a drum and bass lyric would sound like on that. Let me take one of my recent ones, put it on that and throw it up online and see what people think.
Yeah.
And that's how I use it. I use it to literally create something and be able to show it to my audience straight away. And I think that's the benefits of social media. It's always a gift and a curse in these kind of things. But for me, I've always tried to use it positively as a way to reach my audience with what I want to showcase to them, man. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. But, if you use it correctly as a tool, don't get consumed by it. Yeah. I think it still has its merits, definitely.
So what's been the proudest moment of your life so far?
Yeah, I mean, I've got to be 100% honest, man. Like music, I love. Performing, I love. I've done some amazing stage shows, the Guinness Book of World Records, working with Skibber, all this stuff we've been talking about. But it was becoming a father, man. That is the most proud moment of my life. Do you know what I'm saying? Having my son born and being like, wow, I am responsible for this life, this beautiful life in front of me. Do you know what I mean? It made me up my levels even more musically. It made me think about things in a different way. It changes your whole perspective. You know what I mean? It's not all about you anymore. Do you know what I'm saying? It's that's gone. It's all about this life, and you've got to put everything into that. And even just when he went to school recently, the first day, I'm the proudest dad in the world. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna lie. Everything is about my son. So that would definitely be the proudest moment of my life so far. Being a father, having a son, man.
How old is he?
He's 4 now. He's 4.
Yeah.
So
Does he know what you do?
he kind of didn't.
Right.
But then I took him to, there's a thing called Raver Tots. Shout out to, have you seen a Raver Tot?
A week's time, actually. I've done a couple of them, but I went to the one in Maidstone. You were there, actually.
Yeah.
The one down in the big,
Yeah.
I can't remember which park it's called, but in Maidstone.
So Raver Tots love what they do because it's great. Parents can now come with their children, show them the rave scene, everything else, garage, drum and bass. Absolutely love what they do. So not the last one, but the one before, I took him and brought him on stage and sort of showed him what I do. Do you know what I mean? And then this time I took him again a couple of weeks ago to the one in Essex. It was local to us. And I said, he goes, "Can I come on stage again?" He wanted to come on stage again. And like, so now he knows what I do. Do you know what I mean? Musically, he's more into reggae, man. Whenever there's reggae going, he loves Bob Marley, man. Like, so that at the moment, that's what he likes, man. Do you know what I mean?
Is that from your wife? Does she play that music? Is that why she might?
She was playing Bob Marley in the car, yeah.
Right.
And then he heard it, and it's like, and he asked me sometimes, "Oh, can you play like the Three Little Birds song and all that?" Innit? Do you know what I mean? Everything's going to be all right and all that. So yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see where it goes, man.
That's our proud moment. So that's what you do. So what are you looking forward to in the future, personally and professionally?
Yeah, what I'm looking forward to is what we spoke about briefly with the SASAS thing now. It's exciting for me now to kind of bring in these youngsters, man, and like work with them and help them develop and make them the next people that are coming through. You know what I mean? I've had a great career and I'm still on my MC and I'm still every day writing bars. I'm still on it. But what excites me now as well is helping these youngers come through and sort of maybe even helping them to not make certain mistakes I make, to do things quicker and everything else. So I like being in that role now in SASAS where we're doing this past, present and future thing. I'm going to do some mad hip hop stuff again because I've just been writing loads of hip hop. So it's a passion of mine. So expect some more hip hop releases this year, probably with some American features as well and some sort of classic UK MCs. I'm always looking at sort of the new tech as well and stuff like that and how to use that and sort of incorporate into what we do and do different sort of storytelling projects. Go and check out the Blame Game, for instance. That was like something we did, which is like, I'll say it's like an audio film. It's like about childhood trauma, but it's told from 4 different perspectives and all the songs intertwine with each other. So go and check that one out online. I'm always looking to do new and kind of innovative things, man. And also just push this vocal drum and bass thing. I'm passionate about MCs making music as well, man. Actually making songs and getting them out there and like, you know, reaching an audience, not just being on the mic in raves, actually putting out songs. So we're pushing out hard as well, man. Always new challenges.
Mate, your enthusiasm and the way you come across is like, it's so infectious and it sounds like you've still got so much fire. Like you feel like you've been doing it for 15 odd years since 2008 when you got, but you've like, I feel like you're still somebody that's kind of new. You know what I mean? That's how you come across, which is actually quite a good trait, by the way, and very, very infectious. And people that be listening to this will hopefully can show you that what hard work does. And my last question would be actually, how do you want to be remembered?
How do you want to be remembered? Okay.
So this is a bit deep question, by the way.
Okay. If I'm thinking about how I'd like to actually be remembered, I think first and foremost, I want people to think, he's a cool guy, man. He always turned up with a smile. He was always good with everyone. Do you know what I mean? He wasn't some like, you know, like, what's the word, like a diva or something. I'd hate to think with me like that. Yeah. I hope they think that I've contributed something to the lyrical side of drum and bass and to the drum and bass scene that kind of took it up in a sense, elevated the lyrical side of things, or just, you know, I've contributed something that's pushed the scene up a little bit. Everyone does their bit, you know what I'm saying? And there's people like, for instance, you know, I mean, look at what Goldie did. He pushed it like that. Yeah. So if I could just do it like this, or like Ronnie Saz went like that, or like Congo Natty like that. See me, as long as I just did that little bit of pushing it up, I'll be happy with that, man.
Mate, thank you again. Listen, I've for people that are listening, I've taken more time than I was going to, but I really appreciate it, by the way.
It's all good.
I really appreciate it. Just before you go, please, guys, everybody, can you please make sure you subscribe, like, share, leave comments. Everything that you guys put on here, I will obviously take this very seriously. Look at the comments, good and bad. But I want to thank you, Harry. Thank you so much for doing this, by the way. You've been absolutely amazing. And good luck for this year. Good luck with SASAS and stuff. I didn't realise that you had these plans and stuff. So you'll see me out and about, shouting, screaming, dancing at some point in the future. So thank you very much, mate.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it, man.
Big up. Good luck for Arsenal, by the way. I want someone else to win the league this year.
There you go.
Take care, mate. Thank you very much, by the way.
Take care, man. See you in a bit.
Take care, mate. Take care. Bye.